print procurement guru. I run Real Sourcing Network, a print procurement tech startup that leverages technology to provide companies with an innovative and painless way to buy high quality print for less. So excited to have Jade Gentry joining us today. And Jade has a pretty cool background. I love the wine and the cool sign and the painting. So Jade, I'd like to start off the interview as making the conversation a little bit casual and personal. So please share a couple random non-business related fun facts about yourself.
Ooh, nice. Okay, so some fun facts, non-business related. With COVID grounding me from traveling lately, I've actually taken up fostering dogs this past year. So I think over the past 13 months, I've had over 15 dogs that we've pulled from high kill shelters through Angels Among Us Pet Rescue. Funny enough, 9 of those actually came at once when I fostered a pregnant mom dog who had the puppies in my house. When trying to get them actually adopted, I started playing around with TikTok. I think a lot of folks played around with that during COVID, and drawn attraction from the Dodo, who did a digital series on their foster page about my puppies. It had over 15 million views. So I've been telling my staff that I am now a social influencer, which just gets me a lot of eye rolls, but makes me feel pretty good.
You're a TikTok star.
In my mind, I'm a TikTok star, but I don't think probably nearly as much as some of the other folks on there.
So my parents just got a puppy last week, actually. It's a golden retriever. So they're a golden retriever family. We had them growing up and this is their third, and they're a little tired because they're getting up at night and early in the morning. It's like having another child.
You forget puppies are just like babies.
So tell me about yourself and your current role.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you again for having me. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you. So like you mentioned, my name's Jade Gentry. I'm a PWC SAP partner who focuses within the technology, media, and telecommunications industry. Currently live in Atlanta with my dog Potter, which is the picture behind me, my cat Malfoy, if you can't tell the trend there. So if you see a few animal heads pop up, I apologize. We're still navigating the fun remote COVID working style I think we're all dealing with.
We've had construction going on in our neighborhood. So if you hear random noises, that's why.
You know, I love it. It actually, it's nice to see the real behind people, you know, nowadays, especially with the remote working. I've actually had somewhat of an unusual path up to partner at PWC. I started straight out of undergrad almost 20 years ago and have served in a number of different roles. I've worked in a number of different office locations from New York to Chicago, back to New York, did a little overseas stint, and then down here in Atlanta. My current role as an SAP partner is really focused on 2 areas. One is around delivering what we call large-scale SAP business transformations. So that's everything from what you think of your old school finance system areas to order to cash to even some of the front office sales and marketing solution. My second role at PwC is acting as what we call an advisory point partner for several of our local Atlanta media and broadcasting clients. So basically that means it's my job to understand what the client's imperatives and goals are, where the industries are headed, and then give them introductions into the right subject matter expertise that my firm brings to help them solve important problems. You know, although my current technical role is within SAP, I've had a number of different roles and focus areas throughout my career. Always primarily heavily focused within telco, media, and technology industry, but have done everything from general marketing, sales, and service strategies to new product innovation, to even implementing content management systems and advertising platforms. So you could say I've made my career by being able to show agility throughout my years, which is great because I'm always on the run, so I never get bored. When I'm not working, I'm big into animal rescue, working out, and hiking. So constantly anything that keeps me on the move.
And I love that you have a background in marketing. I've spent my career in the marketing and marketing procurement space. It's pretty fascinating to see all the changes that are evolving between procurement and marketing.
100%, yes, agree.
So, Jade, who was one person, mentor, coach, or boss that helped you most in your career? And what did they provide you?
Good question. And this is a question I often get, and I always laugh because I feel like I'm doing a Emmy acceptance speech, thanking everyone out there. It's a tough question because I really feel as you move up the ranks, it requires support and coaching from a number of individuals, both peers and bosses, and for me, even clients. I do have a small pod of 5 people that I would consider a very diverse group of women and men that provide me both career and personal coaching with that. These folks are really comprised of everyone with women in PWC leadership to actually women in executive client positions that really help kind of clear the path for me. I've had a peer of mine that has started and progressed with me throughout my entire career at PWC, which has always been a great sounding board. To even a man that started as my boss and is now my peer and helped advocate for me when consulting as a female was not always easy. The coaching that they've provided me has been everything on, how to advocate for myself, how to help me progress, but even not just career advice, a lot of personal advice. As you progress up the ladder, it's often hard to kind of balance the work and life commitments. So for me, getting that advice on how I ensure I'm not sacrificing my personal life or, unable to focus on some of the charitable areas that I'm passionate about was essential. And having that close-knit group of people across all different points of their career, not really just helped normalize some of those actions of what I was feeling, but also offered up really good sound advice to make sure that I'm carving out times to make time for those additional commitments that were essential both with progressing through my firm, but generally just being happy with life and work in entirety.
I see a hashtag coming on, hashtag Jade Pod. I love that.
I'll add it to my new social influencer status with the dodo.
We've got the TikTok star, so now we've got to work on the hashtag. So, Jade, what is the most innovative thing that you've seen in your space in the past 12 months?
Oh, okay. And you're hitting me at a good time too, because you have the COVID virtual areas, which I think are accelerating a lot of this innovation. So for me, the amount of digitizing and automating going on within the consulting industry is pretty vast right now. The past couple of years, we've seen our vendor products and solution sets really expanding into areas like artificial intelligence or robotic process automation. And what we've seen now is that change actually coming more into consulting on how we deliver work. For example, my firm made a conscious decision a few years ago to start heavily investing in digitally upskilling our junior resources. So every single one of our resources is now trained in robotic process automation, analytical tools, other process automation work tools. And now what we've seen is the shift in how they're applying these tool sets to reduce manual efforts in delivering for our clients and driving more value. One of the coolest things that I've seen, or I personally think, is what we've coined this concept of citizen-led innovation, which basically means our junior staff can now go out, create, share bots, dashboards, other digital accelerators across the firm. And these can be accessed and downloaded and applied to almost any type of the client delivery solutions that we do. The really cool thing about it is besides some of these newer technologies that are automating what we typically consider a little bit of lower value activities, they're all being driven by our junior staff. And they're actually having large impacts on how we accelerate delivery, where we're able to save costs for our clients, and then just allowing our resources now to focus more on those areas that actually provide the most value. All of our jobs as consultants are evolving and changing just as our clients are with these new digital accelerators. And I think the impact of COVID and the virtual working has only accelerated some of that delivery innovation.
Yeah, and I think, Jade, that's a great example. So I'm on the platform Clubhouse and I host a few rooms a week. And we get asked a lot about how companies are using AI or robotics or think digital kind of new innovations in real life, right? It's things that you hear people talk about, but sometimes it's hard for people to actually grasp how companies are using it. And so I think what you just talked about is a great example of your company actually putting it into action and using those advancements in technology in day-to-day life.
No, I agree. And just your point is spot on there's a lot of tools, but how do you leverage them? The accessibility that our resources are able to drive. So we've got a number of different, for instance, project management tools that we use. These additional bots or automations or, dashboards that allow us to do quick real-time, comparisons of data migrations, all these things drop directly within our tool sets now. So it's a click. It's a junior resource goes, I'm going to compare data. Let me click and do a search. It's here, pull it in, so that accessibility is just really, really trying to accelerate the value that we're getting from those.
When people ask me, what do I think is the most important thing for procurement or finance executives for 2021, I say data.
Oh, yeah.
Without having good, clean data, it's really hard to make decisions or do anything meaningful. So love that everything you guys are working on is really tying back to that central focus point of data. So Jade, what is one unique thing that we don't know about you? You mentioned animal rescue, you mentioned hiking, anything else personally or professionally that's kind of unique?
Yeah, so definitely the animal rescue and the hiking are kind of top of mind. One of the other, I'll say somewhat unique, I'm, in my 40s and my desire was to make the best use of my time when I'm not spending it on planes. So, pre-COVID times, I was on a flight a couple times a week. This year, I really focused on making sure I was making the best out of a bad situation, whether that was applying my time to some of my charitable things, rescuing animals. The other thing I took up is CrossFit. So the past 14 months, I've been pretty active in working out, doing CrossFit. With my meeting schedules, it means I have to get up a lot earlier than what I used to, but at least it's gotten me into a good shape. So when the world starts to open up again, hopefully I stick with some of these better habits.
Yes, hopefully you're not staying up too late. I know I'm an early morning workout person as well, and I've had to really make sure I get to bed at a reasonable hour so I can get up early.
That's what coffee is for, Sarah. It's amazing what I can do with the lack of sleep and a little bit of caffeine.
So Jade, my final question for you today is, what is one piece of advice that you would give people clawing up the ranks?
Great question. So the first thing would be surround yourself with a diverse set of people that you respect. The diversity aspect is crucial because I truly feel it gives you a different point of view than if you just looked toward like-minded people as yourself. Some of the greatest advice that I received and that I've started to now also communicate to the folks that I coach is, every career is different. Don't try to judge your success based upon how quickly you rise compared to others. It just causes you frustrations. Everyone is different. Everyone has different priorities and willing to sacrifice different aspects. Setting your own goals and working towards them and trying to keep on track of what's important to you is a lot better than trying to gauge, so-and-so was promoted at year 2 and I was at year 3, so that's one of the big things. The other thing is just don't compromise your values and treat people with respect. You will see bad traits as you progress up. And I am guilty of sometimes questioning whether, at the time that is the only way to get ahead. But what I found is it's very important to stay true to yourself and the values. And what you'll see is that actually pays off in the long run, even though some of those short-term views may not make sense at the time. Network. So network at every opportunity. And I tell all my junior resources this: don't overlook the lower level client resources that they're working with today, because as they progress up, most likely those folks or your peers or clients, if you're in consulting, will also progress up through their rank and become great advocates, buyers, promoters, of you in the future. And that also means that, as you progress up, you need to look for those opportunities to also coach and invest more into the junior resources to bring up with you. And then just the last thing, and it's not necessarily just work related, but be sure to carve out time for you. It's super important, especially as you progress up, to figure out what your personal boundaries are and try to stick to them, or else you may become successful work-wise, but you're giving up a lot of other items that are important to you. And that I'll tell you, real-time learning, I think that took me some years to kind of recognize and realize that by carving out some of that time, it actually makes you, a better person, a better client delivery person, a better human being in general. So it's definitely something that's super important to make sure you balance.
Vacation was created for a reason.
Vacation was created, and the ability to turn off your, we just talked about going digital, the ability to turn off your phone and computer when you're on vacation is also crucial.
Yeah. Well, Jade, thank you so much for being on our show today. It was a pleasure to connect and learn a little bit about you and what you are doing professionally.
Thank you, Sarah. Really appreciate the opportunity.